I am David Stites, CFP professional with Fidelis Financial Strategies. Today I want to expand a little more on Roth conversions. We're at a unique time right now where maybe the perfect storm in a good way has come to where this might be a good strategy for more people than normal. And to kind of go through some of what those things are that are coming together to say this might be a good time. So one, we had a tax cut in 2018, and so the rates that you're paying on taxes right now are lowest that they've been in a long, long time. And that low rate goes up to a pretty good amount. You can still be in the 24% bracket and be making married filing jointly like $300 and something thousand. So you're still paying a fairly low rate even with high incomes each year. And so from just to set the groundwork with a Roth conversion, you have two different kinds of accounts. One of them is, in our office, generally a pre-tax account, which could be a traditional IRA or a SEP IRA or a simple IRA, that are money that you got a tax credit, just like at your work when you contribute to your 401k or whatever. It lowered the amount of tax that you paid in that year. And so that is a tax benefit in this year. A Roth account, invented by a senator with the last name Roth, or at least he's the one that signed the bill, came along and said, why don't we give them another way to save money? And we'll do it by, they put the money in after tax, but it grows tax-free for as long as they got it in that account. It'll grow without any taxes. And so one, you get a tax benefit now where they don't count it as income, but eventually down the road, you're gonna pay the piper. You have to keep it in there till 59 and a half, but sometime between there, they make you take it out at age 72 now, little chunks of it. But picture in a traditional IRA or in 401k, you're gonna be paying yourself in retirement. Let's say you pay yourself $30,000 a year or something like that. You're gonna be taxed on that $30,000 just like it's income. And so whatever the tax rates are at that time are what you're gonna pay on your money. Now, if we've been working together for a while, my hope is that you're gonna have a pretty good income in retirement. Things are gonna be looking good as far as what you're living on, what you're able to do. And so you're still, even if you're in an equal tax bracket to what you are now, we are in a low tax rate right now. So a lot of the reasons that a Roth conversion comes into play right now is because you can move tax from something that was pre-tax, keep it inside the retirement account, so there's no penalties or anything. It just rolls over. You pay the tax in this year, it ends up into a Roth account, and then it grows after tax for as long as it's in that account. Now keep in mind that doesn't affect, let's say, and you may or may not have heard of this, but you can contribute if you're under 50 up to $6,000 a year into a Roth IRA. If you have a spouse, it can be double that. And if you're over 50, then it can be $7,000 a year. And of course that creeps up a little. A Roth conversion has nothing to do with that. You can do a conversion on top of what you're contributing each year. And so you've kind of got that max, but you can do a conversion on top of that. And you can do a portion, you could do a couple thousand or you could do 50,000, whatever you think works in that year. And so we work together to make sure it works with what tax rate we're trying to get into and how it works with the overall plan. Because I kind of do the hard work of setting up all the paperwork and making it happen, and then we shift that to the Roth. It's no out-of-pocket money when it happens. It's simply when the taxes come in April, you'll have what's called a 1099-R that you'll get from the custodian. It says, hey, there's been a distribution, but it was okay because it stayed inside of a retirement account. There's no penalties, but it'll be income that you'll pay on that year. So let's say you're in the 22% bracket or whatever, and you convert some, then you can figure, okay, about a fourth to a fifth of that is going to be money I need to have set aside for the taxes. You rip the Band-Aid off now, but then from then on, whatever is growing inside of that account is never taxed. And so because the rates are low right now, in 2026 that ends, meaning that as the tax code is set up right now, our tax breaks end in a period of time and we go back to some old rates that are higher. Now this year, it's been a crazy year. The government sent out a ton of money to us in 2020 and said, here, a lot's been going on with COVID, sent out stimulus, that kind of stuff. Maybe you lost your job and the income's down. Well, that might be a good time to convert. Or if there's a dip in the market, sometimes that's a good time to convert. But generally these are long-term strategies, and so it's maybe a little icing on the cake if you can catch it at a low point, but really that's not the main goal of it. It's just to start moving over some as you go along. I don't mind the idea in retirement of having some of both. And so you may have some in a pre-tax account like a 401k or traditional IRA, and you may have some in a Roth. But I like the idea of options. And so when you get to retirement, Congress goes crazy one year and they decide to up the income tax, and that's the only tax they're going to have, and now all of a sudden it's 60-70%. Then you could have the option to say, you know what, I think I'll live off my Roth account this year because I don't want to pay that tax rate. If things kind of stay the same, you spend your pre-tax account first. And a lot of people think, oh, when I retire, that's when I'll start pulling money from my Roth. Well, in theory, it might be 15, 20 years into retirement before you even take the first penny from your Roth account. So picture you're in your 40s, you're 20 years from retirement, but really you're 40 years from your first withdrawal from the Roth IRA. Because you have the low tax now, you've got a volatile year going on, maybe income wasn't what it normally is. We know that rates are going up later, and because we're spending a lot of money as a government now, the likelihood that they're going to raise rates later, put it in the category, take advantage of maybe some of the conditions that are happening in taxes and the timing and things like that. It'll help us bukus down the road. It's going to be a small move now that's going to be genius a few decades down the road. Overall, we just want to help as a firm to get you where you're trying to get to. Just have a heart of a teacher. And so if you have any questions, if there's a way that we can help, make those little steps along the way. We'd love to be a part of that process. You can reach us on our website, or feel free to call us and we'll set something up that works with your schedule via call, video chat, or in person. We're good either way. Thanks.